These are the top 5 best center builds for Season 2. These builds will have you knocking down consistent threes from half court and snagging boards over the whole team, giving you the ability to completely take over any game at will. Let's not waste any time though and jump into it. All right, man, so up first, I have a 7'4" build that is not made for cap breakers. So this is going to be for my beginners. There will be a second option that's going to be made for cap breakers after that. So first, you're going to go 7'4" with a 7'4" wingspan. And then you're going to go 244 pounds for your weight. Now, it is not set up for cap breakers, but there is places that you can use cap breakers in the build if you like it. So we're going to start off in the physical category. We're going to go with a maxed out speed and agility, 57 speed. And then we're going to get 89 strength on this build. And then we're going to get a 70 vertical. And then for our defensive rebound, we're going to be going with a 92 D board, and then an 80 offensive rebound. And then for our perimeter, we are going to max this out. And then our steal is going to go up to a 49. I believe in the attribute rating. I don't want to have literally a 0 steal. I feel like having a little bit of attributes into my rating will help me get steals. So I want to make sure I have a little bit of steal, even though I can't get bronze interceptor. Then for block, we're going to be going with an 84 block, and we can eventually cap breaker this to 88. Then for pass act, this is going to go to 82. And then our ball handle is going to go to a 47. Our speed with ball is going to go to a 33. And then we're on to shooting. Our 3 ball is going to be maxed out here all the way up to a 89. And then we're on to standing dunk, which will go all the way up to a 90. That driving dunk's going to stay at 55. The driving layup's going to go up to a 63. And then our close shot is going to go all the way up to a 88, just so we don't miss stuff around the rim. So now you're sitting at 98 overall, and you can do a lot of different things here with the build, depending on your personal play style. So you could actually set this build up to have a 93 block with 5 cap breakers. So if you guys want to do that, that would be a phenomenal option to go with here. So you can adjust your block and go all the way up to an 88. And then once you get 5 cap breakers, you'll be able to have a 93 block. And then you're left with a couple of leftover upgrades, which you could throw into pass act, and then dump those leftovers into free throws so you can knock down free throws in a 5v5 setting. So this is our first build with no cap breakers for your 7'4", but it is going to be utilized where you can choose the shooting specialization and use those +2 to get the 91 strength. And then eventually when you do get cap breakers, you will be able to use those on block. This build's going to come out with shades of Kristaps Porzingis, Victor Wembanyama, Marc Gasol, and it's going to be a rim reaping stretch lob threat. All right, let's go ahead and show you guys the next version of a 7'4" that you guys might know and love. All right, so this is going to be my point guard 7'4" build. Now, I actually truthfully play point guard with this build. I went on a 15 streak in Basketball Gods, and we got error coded with me playing PG on this 7'4" build. And that is post patch after they nerfed them. So we're going to go with a 7'4" height and then the 7'4" wingspan. And then our weight for this one is going to be 244 pounds. Now you guys could drop the weight even farther here. You could go all the way down to the lowest weight, but I like the 244 and you're going to see why. All right, so up first, we're in the physicals category. We're going to be maxing out our speed and agility here once again. And then our strength is going to be going up to a 87, which we will cap breaker to 91. And then our vertical is going to be maxed out all the way at a 70 there. And then for our defensive rebound, we're going to be going with a 87 D board. And then for steal, we're going to be maxing that out to a 53. Perimeter is going to be maxed out all the way to a 59. And then block is going to go up to a 84. Now we're going to come back to O board and a little bit of an adjustment that we can do to strength as well. But I'm going to show you guys here after the fact. And then for our ball handle, we're going to max this out. Like I said, this is my point guard build. And then for my speed with ball, that's going to be a 41. And then my pass act is going to be a 76. Now that 76 gives me that silver versatile visionary, which I think is very useful for throwing steamers. And then we can also cap breaker this all the way up to an 87. Now we're on to 3 ball, which is going to be maxed out all the way to a 89. And then our midi is going to be maxed out as well. So our cap breakers on this build, we'll be putting 5 into defensive board and then currently 4 into strength. And then we're going to move on to the finishing category. So right now for our finishing, we're going to be going with a 81 stand dunk. And then we're going to be putting our post control all the way up to a 86. That way we can get silver unpluckable as well as legend post fade phenom with a +1. Now we're going to be sitting at 96 overall. So with these leftover upgrades, you could either do more close shot and driving layup if you want to try to have that 70 driving layup with a really high close shot for float game. I don't know if you guys like to do floaters or not. Or you can make the build basically be like a true center point guard, and you know, you'll just be a dominant force on the boards on both sides of the ball. So whenever you do steam the ball to the corner, when you attack the hoop, you'll be able to get an O board every time, and also be able to set big bodies if you do have like a 6'8" on your team. And you want to set them a screen occasionally. So to do this, we're basically going to go with an 80 offensive rebound. That way we can get crash or take. And then we're sitting at 97 overall, and we're going to take our close shot all the way up to a 92. And then that driving layup's going to go up to a 70. Now we're left with a couple extra upgrades, and we're just going to put those into free throw here. That's going to give us a 69 free throw with a 92 close shot. Now this is going to be my PG 7'4" build. As you can see, we get shades of Marc Gasol, Victor Wembanyama, and Kristaps Porzingis. Okay, so now we're going to be showing you guys the best build in my opinion on NBA 2K26. A lot of you guys ask me if I prefer the 7'4" or the 7'1", and I tell you the same answer every time. 7'1s are the meta, okay? They're faster, they get deep bomber, and they have better ball handling. Now the 7'4" is a little bit better at rebounding, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it makes up for it with the deep bomber. So we're gonna go right-handed. The jersey number does not matter. You guys can do whatever you want. All right, man, so this is gonna be a center 7'1" with a 7'1" wingspan. 226 pounds is going to be your weight. Now, this is made for cap breakers. So if you guys don't have cap breakers, there is a video fully out on this build. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description. Go check it out. There's a video for the beginners that don't have cap breakers. For the guys that do have cap breakers, I'm going to show you the cap breakers that I put on this build because it's specifically made to get a high 3 ball with cap breakers. So we're going to start up in the physical category. We're just going to max out that speed and that agility. And then our strength is going to go up to a 83. And then our vertical is going to be maxed out as well at an 82 vert. And then for our D board, this is going to be a 85. And then our offensive rebound is going to be an 80. Now we're on to defense. It's going to be a 77 interior on this build. That perimeter is going to be a 62. And then that steal is going to be a 50. And then for our block, we're going to push this all the way up to an 88. Then for speed with ball, we're going to be pushing this up to a 57. And then ball handle is going to be a 72. And then your pass sack is going to go up to a 77, which we will use cap breakers on to get an even higher pass sack. Now we're on to 3 ball. Now this is where this build really breaks the game here. We're going to go with a 66 3 ball. Now you could go 60 midi, but I want to have a very, very high midi. I want to have that 93 midi because I want to get that extra badges from it. So we're going to go with a 91 here. And then we're going to be using 1 cap breaker to go from 91 midi to 93. You will see here in a second. And then now we're on to finishing. We're going to put our close shot up to 88. Our driving layup's going to stay at 63. Our driving dunk's going to go up to a 73. And then our standing dunk is going to go up to a 90. And then that post control is going to go up to an 86. So that way we get the post fade phenom and unpluckable, as well as many other things. And then we're left with 1 upgrade, which we can just go ahead and dump into free throw. All right, so that comes out of shades of Marcus Camby, David Robinson, and Alper Sengun. It's going to be a rim reaping mid post creator. All right, man, so here is what I have utilized my cap breakers. As you can see, I took a 66 3 ball all the way to a 90 with 5 cap breakers. And then I was able to use 1 cap breaker on my mid-range to get that 93 midi for the extra badges. And then after that point, it's basically I'm trying to take my block from an 88 to a 93. I accidentally made a mistake with the strength cap breaker. I used a shooting specialization one there by accident, like a bot. In reality, that one should have been used in my shooting category, and then I could have had like an extra cap breaker already in a different slot. But don't worry about that. Make sure you don't make the mistake that I did and put that into strength. If you guys want to get my animations on this build, though, you guys are going to need to check out the full video on the build. I have my animations, my dunk packages, my post fade, my dribble moves, and my dribble pull up. Let's go ahead and go to the next build, though. All right, so for my next build, this is the only inside that we have in the entire video. This is my version of Shaquille O'Neal in NBA 2K26. Now, he's a little bit taller than Shaq, but it plays like Shaq, okay? So we're going to go with a right-handed jersey number 34, and then center is going to be the position, 7'1" with a maxed out wingspan. And then our weight is going to go up to 265. After that, we're on to the next categories, which is going to be our physical section. So we're going to max out our speed and our agility. And then our strength is going to go all the way up to a 95 strength, which we will be able to cap breaker to get 99. And then our vertical is going to be maxed out to a 76. And then we're on to rebounding. So we're going to get a 96 D board on this game. Then we're on to rebounding. So we're going to get a 96 D board on this build, which we will push all the way to 99. And then we'll get an 80 O board. That way we get crash or take. And for our takeover on this build, we're going to select offensive rebound as our only takeover. So we'll have a 90 plus O board with our takeover. Then we're on to defense. So we're going to get a 60 perimeter on this build. Sadly, we can't get 62 because of the weight. So we're just going to leave it at 60. And then our steal is going to go to a 60. And then our block is going to go to a 84, which we will eventually cap breaker to an 88. Now we're on to pass accuracy, which will be set to an 87. And this will be able to be cap breaker to 93. And then for our free throw, we want to be able to knock down free throws at a decent rate. So we're going to go with a 70 free throw, not too high, but not too low. And then we're on to standing dunk, which is going to go all the way up to a 94. So this build will be able to get a 99 standing dunk after you use your cap breakers on it. So you have a 99 rebound, 99 strength, and a 99 standing dunk. And then for our driving dunk, that's just going to go up to a 73. And now you're sitting at 97 overall with a lot of wiggle room. You guys can put these attributes essentially wherever you want based on your play style. Me personally, I'm gonna get silver paint prodigy with some of these leftover slots so I can get silver paint prodigy. That way, if I do happen to not get a dunk, I can still make it. And then we're gonna take that last little one and put it to the 95 strength. And I'm gonna be going with the 74 driving dunk and a 26 post control to finish off this build. As you can see with this build, we get shades of Wilt Chamberlain, Andrew Bogut, and 02-03 Shaquille O'Neal. All right, so now we are on to the last build of the video that is, in my opinion, going to be my new favorite build on NBA 2K26. This is a 7-1 that doesn't get deep bomber, but it gets literally everything else on a different scale that is just makes the build absolutely nuts. All right, so we're going to go with right hand. The jersey number does not matter. Now for this build, we're going to go center, 7'1" with a 7'3" wingspan. And then the weight here is actually going to be 233. All right, so we're going to start off in the physical category. We're going to max out that speed and that agility as always. Want to be as fast as possible here. And then we're going to go with 81 strength, which we will be using our cap breakers on to go to 83. And then we're going to max out that vertical to an 81. Now we're on a D board, which will be going to an 87 D board, which will be cap breaker to 92, and we're going to leave that O board for now. Then we're going to go to interior defense, which is going to go all the way up to an 84, and then our block is going to go all the way up to a 94. Now this will give us the ability to have a legend paint patroller. We aren't going to be able to have legend high flying denier because of our vertical, but we could use a +2 there to have it as well. And then we're going to push our steal all the way up to a 60, which will give us bronze interceptor. Now we're on to ball handle. This build is going to be able to dribble, like isolation dribble, and then shoot fades. So we're going to go with a speed with ball of 55. And then that ball handle is just going to go all the way up to that 65 mark for the Giannis package. And then our pass accuracy is going to go to an 87, which we can eventually cap breaker to get a 93. Then we're on to shooting. We're going to be getting an 81 3 ball here, which we will be using our cap breakers on for shooting specialization to get an 83. And then our midi is going to be maxed out at that 89 mark. So we'll have legend, set shot specialist, as well as Hall of Fame Deadeye. Then we're on to finishing. We're going to get a 90 stand dunk on this build. We're also going to get a 73 driving dunk. And then the build is basically finished at this point. And this comes down to your personal play style and what you want to do here. Me personally, I want to have the ability to get crash or take because sometimes I'm going to be playing the true center position. So I'm going to go down to rebound and I'm going to push this all the way up to an 80 board, which will give me the ability to have crash or take. And then I just have one tick left, which I'm going to throw into free throw. And that will be the completed aspect of the build. As you can see, we get shades of Victor Wembanyama, George Mikan, and Joel Embiid. It's going to be a rim reaping 3-level dimer. But that's basically going to do it for the video, man. Be on the lookout for a video on this build in the future. I haven't made it yet myself, but I can't wait to make it. I need to, go hunt some streaks first because I don't want to spend money on this game. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I did. Go enjoy Season 2. Lock it in. We'll see you in the next one. It's been your boy Hollywood. Peace.